Although Doris Day's grandson is unknown, his link to the renowned actress has always intrigued her. At 41, he finally reveals something fans suspected. The revelations about his private life and relationship with his grandma reveal a side of Doris Day that few knew. Let's examine his words and why they're making waves. Doris Marianne Kappelhoff was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, on April 3, 1922. German-born Frederick Wilhelm von Kappelhoff, a music teacher and choirmaster, and Alma Sophia Weltz, a homemaker, were her parents. Doris was the youngest of three. Her brother Richard died before she was born, and Paul was older. Growing up in a humble household during the Great Depression, Doris experienced early hurdles. Doris was severely influenced by her parents' troubled marriage and rare divorce. These trials didn't stop her from loving music and dancing, which shaped her future. Doris won a dance contest at 12 by standing on her hands for over 3 hours, gaining free dancing lessons. Her success showed her tenacity. A vehicle accident at 14 broke her leg, ending her hopes of becoming a professional dancer. She was bedridden for nearly a year following many surgeries, but amputation was discussed. Doris sang because Ella Fitzgerald inspired her during her immobility. Alma took Doris to Grace Rain for singing lessons because of her voice. Grace recognized Doris' talent, launching her singing career. At 15, Doris started playing professionally for $5 each night at a Chinese restaurant. Bandleader Barney Rapp noticed her singing at a local nightclub. Rapp sought her as his female vocalist after hearing her voice. Doris had to pretend to be 18 to play in places, showing her determination to embrace opportunities. She became Doris Day at 17 in 1939 at Rapp's suggestion, inspired by her performance of Day After Day. Though at first hesitant, she grew used to the term, which became linked with Hollywood celebrities. Doris Day joined Les Brown's band aged 18 on March 15, 1940, changing her career. She became main vocalist after overcoming stage shyness and performing Embraceable You for the bandleader. She has personal traumas and achievements with the band. Doris learned of her brother Paul's car accident death in 1941 while touring with the band. Despite her anguish, she performed that night, bringing the audience to tears. Her career was marked by resilience. Doris's first great hit was Sentimental Journey, which resonated with returning World War II veterans. She recorded the song while sick, giving her voice a husky tone. The song sold over 1 million copies in its first year, establishing her as a budding celebrity. Doris began her solo career in 1947 with a 7-year, $1 million Columbia Records contract, a first for a female performer. The tunes chosen for her were dull and old at first. After campaigning for more contemporary material, she released It's Magic, which sold over 2 million copies and earned an Oscar nomination. She recorded the song in one take, impressing the studio crowd. Success in music led to Hollywood. Her 1948 Romance on the High Seas role was suggested by songwriters Jules Stein and Sammy Cahn. Director Michael Curtis called Doris the most gorgeous girl he'd ever seen after casting her in the starring part, despite her lack of acting experience. The film's popularity launched her successful cinematic career. Doris performed in several successful musicals in the 1950s, including Calamity Jane, 1953, and The Pajama Game, 1957. She performed stunts and broke a rib in Calamity Jane as a courageous frontierswoman. Over $3.70 million was made on the picture. The Pajama Game demonstrated her versatility and earned $5 million, cementing her Hollywood stardom. Although Doris Day was America's sweetheart, her personal life was anything but perfect. Through sorrow, betrayal, and a series of bad relationships, she felt helpless in her own life, despite her stunning smile and effortless charm on television. Her first marriage to trombonist Al Jordan at 17 started a cycle of pain. Doris believed in love despite her mother's severe objections. The truth was much darker. Jordan was possessive and violent. He initially hit her the day after their wedding. After then, violence intensified. Jordan's wrath grew as he accused Doris of cheating everywhere. One of Jordan's worst attacks occurred while Doris was pregnant with Terry, their only child. When she declined an abortion, he beat her so badly she nearly miscarried. He drove her to a remote area with a rifle in her 8th month of pregnancy, threatening to kill them. Doris escaped with fast thinking and survival instincts. She was forever wounded, and even though she had a healthy baby boy in February 1942, she realized she could not stay in the marriage. Her wounds from Jordan stayed after she divorced and never looked back. Doris later admitted that she could never sit in the front seat of a car without thinking about that horrible night. Paula's second marriage to musician George Weidler appeared fresh. They met as bandmates, and he seemed like the partner she needed. After their 1946 wedding, Weidler became cold and distant. He stated he couldn't stomach being married to someone famous than him, the final blow. They divorced after 8 months. Doris was heartbroken. She met Martin Melcher, who changed her life in ways she never dreamed. He adopted her son Terry and became her manager, showing dedication. She trusted him for nearly 2 decades, oblivious of his duplicity. Doris had no idea that Melcher and his business partner, Jerome Rosenthal, were secretly mismanaging her finances and investing her money in failed investments and fraudulent businesses. She was losing her $150 million wealth without her knowing it. The betrayal continued. After Melcher died unexpectedly in 1968, Doris realized the complete deception. She discovered that Melcher had tricked her into joining the Doris Day Show and left her penniless. The only way to pay off his massive debts was to keep her promise. She won $22 million in 1974 after a long lawsuit against Rosenthal. She received only a portion owing to insurance negotiations. However, the emotional harm was permanent. Former Hollywood star Doris was devastated and deceived by the guy she trusted most. Doris Day's animal welfare enthusiasm grew as her Hollywood career declined. She always loved animals, but a childhood trauma drove her passion. She lost her dog Tiny to a car as a child. Doris was heartbroken. The powerlessness she felt that moment shaped her lifelong commitment to animal protection. Despite her Hollywood career, Doris never ignored animal suffering. She was disturbed by animal maltreatment on The Man Who Knew Too Much, set in Morocco. She stopped working until it was done. Her wishes were fulfilled, and the animals were well cared for, showing her power and morality. She founded the Doris Day Pet Foundation in 1978 out of enthusiasm. What started as a modest local rescue support movement grew swiftly. The Doris Day Animal Foundation took on bigger concerns, such pet overpopulation and spaying and neutering. She founded World Spay Day in 1995 to promote pet spaying and neutering. This global effort improved millions of animal lives in over 70 countries. Doris turned her Carmel Valley home into an animal refuge. She saved many pets and gave them a home. Often she had 30 dogs, each well cared after. Doris left Hollywood, but her animal welfare influence flourished. She advocated for legislative changes, spoke out against animal abuse, and utilized her fame to promote her cause. Doris continues to defend animals despite her advanced age. At 89, she released My Heart, a surprise CD, in 2011. Her late son Terry wrote numerous songs on the album. Doris became the oldest UK artist to have a top 10 album with new songs with a highly personal record. She avoided interviews and public appearances despite her accomplishments. On her 97th birthday in 2019, she thanked her followers for continuing her mission in her final public appearance. She died peacefully at home a few weeks later. Her legacy is beyond Hollywood. She did more than act and sing. She fought for the voiceless. She was best known for her beautiful voice and captivating grin, but those who knew her greatest job was saving many creatures. Although Doris dedicated her life to her cause, a cloud hovered over her final years. A hidden family quarrel would keep her sole grandson Ryan Melcher from her. After Doris Day died, that awful reality emerged. Doris Day's final years should have been filled with love and family and her beloved pets. Carmel Valley's idyllic life hid a disturbing truth. Ryan Melcher, her only grandchild, was estranged from her for 14 years while idolizing her. This terrible fact was exposed in 2019. Ryan, like everyone else, learned about Doris's death on Facebook. For Ryan, this heartbreaking news validated his long-held suspicions. Someone was keeping him from his grandmother. The trouble began after Doris's only child, Terry Melcher, died in 2004. Terry, a respected music producer, was always by his mother's side. Their relationship had ups and downs, but they were close. Ryan's relationship with Doris began to break down after Terry's death. Doris invited Ryan to supper following Terry's death, ostensibly for reconciliation. Ryan anticipated this moment. His relationship with Doris has deteriorated since his parents' 1997 divorce. This dinner invitation allowed for restoration. Bob Bashara intervened before Ryan could see his grandmother. Doris co-owned the Cypress Inn, a Carmel boutique hotel, and Bashara, her business manager, invited Ryan to a private meeting. Ryan was asked a chilly, deliberate inquiry. "Why visit Doris?" Ryan subsequently recalled. "My granny made me shocked and puzzled." However, the response was terrible. Bashara told him he couldn't see her. Ryan's parents and family issues were to blame, he said. Ryan's grandmother's access was terminated during the meeting. Attempts to reconnect were ignored for years. Bashara reportedly installed security gates around Doris's home and restricted access to her. The entertainer, who had welcomed fans and animals for decades, was now alone. Ryan accepted that he would never say goodbye to Doris until she died in 2019 at 97. His grief for their lost years was heavy. Ryan revealed their sad estrangement in a Facebook post after her death. His comments upset the public, who had always thought Doris was a lovely, family-oriented woman. To everybody who asked, I learned of my grandmother's death on social media, like most of you. My grandmother's manager, Bob Bashara, who managed her estate and life, prevented me from seeing her for 14 years. The story has much more to it, but I must accept the tragic truth. Doris Day's longtime fans were shocked. How could a kind and generous woman be withheld from her grandson? Why had no one mentioned it before? Bashara denied guilt. Ryan rejected several attempts to reunite with Doris, he said. Many doubted Ryan's website statement asking people not to contact him about Hollywood or his famous grandma. Doris, known for her profound yearning for privacy, may have intended to escape the world. Others believed that others around her had taken advantage of her trust to regulate her interactions and limit her access. One truth persists regardless of the truth. Doris Day, a revered American icon, never saw her only grandchild in her latter years. Ryan was left with unresolved questions and a great sense of sorrow after she went. Doris Day's grandson, 41, confirms what we all suspected. Her last years were not serene. For years, Doris was the face of happiness, bringing millions of people to delight with her cheerful smile and meaningful performances. Unfortunately, her final years of isolation, limited access, and unresolved questions have created a sense of mystery. Ryan Melcher pondered his grandmother's loss years after her death. He sometimes wondered if she asked why he stopped visiting. Was she kept in the dark, or did she choose to break familial ties? Some, like Doris' longtime publicist, Charlie Cullen Walters, doubt Ryan's account. Walters said Ryan had tried to reconcile with Doris, especially around her 90th birthday in 2014, but Ryan had opted to stay apart. Others in the family believe Doris's manager has more control over her life than many realize. Regardless of blame, the consequence is the same. Doris Day and her grandson were estranged, forever preventing reconciliation. Beyond the family difficulties, Doris's final years were dedicated to animal care. On her 11-acre property, she cared for rescue dogs and promoted spay and neuter. She left Hollywood to work for a cause she believed in, also noted for her frugality and basic lifestyle. Doris lived modestly, eating off paper plates and keeping a washing machine in her bedroom despite her Hollywood fame. Though she declined the Kennedy Center Honors and Presidential Medal of Freedom, she never wanted fame. Doris chose to stay away from the spotlight, yet her life and subsequent questions continue to captivate admirers and historians. Her 2019 death ended an era, but revived the topic of fame's darker side. Finally, Doris Day's legacy is unassailable. She was more than a singer and actor. Her strength and resilience helped her overcome heartbreak time and time again. Her narrative of strength, love, and mystery shows that even the brightest stars have shadows. Do family legacies reveal hidden truths? What would you have thought about Doris Day's grandson before his 41st birthday? Join us again for updates and more fascinating stories.